My name is Gregory O'Gallagher, and I'm 24 years old.
My name is Scott Murray, and I'm also 24. High five!
Even though I've just woken up, I won't eat for 8 hours. This increases fat mobilization, boosts mental alertness, and has profound health benefits.
Sorry. Even though I've just woken up, I'm not gonna eat for 8 hours. This pretty much means I'm not gonna eat for 8 hours.
To blunt my hunger, I'll drink sparkling water.
To blunt my hunger, I will drink the magic that is San Pellegrino.
2 to 3 hours later, I'll drink black coffee, a very powerful appetite suppressant.
2 to 3 hours later, I will take some caffeine to the dome!
I only lift 3 times per week. This maximizes muscular and neural recovery and provides the fastest rate of strength gain.
Oh my god, I train 7 days per week, and this style of training means that I'm never truly gonna grow, and I'm gonna stay forever small.
I believe in honing your training down to the essential movements that create the perfect physique, and then becoming really strong at them.
Duh! The basic principles of progressive overload.
My name is Gregory O'Gallagher. It's time for you to unleash your potential.
My name is Scott Murray, and it is time for you to become a potato. What is up, family of potatoes? You read the title of the video. Today we are going to do a full day of eating intermittent fasting style. You know by now that I follow intermittent fasting purely for personal preference reasons. So today we are going to be eating big and taking you through a full day of intermittent fasting. Literally going to only have like 2 huge meals, and of course touch a little bit about the research and the science behind intermittent fasting and whether it's a special diet. So without further ado, let's get to the first meal. So, as you can see, it is currently 20 past 3, so quite late. That is when I am breaking my fast. So for those of you who aren't aware, when it comes to fasting, there are 2 main types. There is alternate day fasting, where you will essentially fast for a whole entire day and then eat on the next day, or there's time restricted feeding, where you will have a certain eating window, so you might fast 16 to 20 hours throughout that one day and then have a 4 to 8 hour eating window. That is pretty much what intermittent fasting is. So today, my first meal is going to be at like 3:30, and then my last meal will probably be at around midnight tonight, so like an 8.5 hour eating window. But yes, we have some water boiling in a pan because the plan of action is to have an absolutely huge bowl of spaghetti. So we're going to have spaghetti with tuna and sweet corn and a bit of tomato sauce. So we're going to have to weigh this out, get a bowl, open up the spaghetti. So we're going, whoa, where are you going? Boop. 300 grams of spaghetti. Bring it over to the pan. Here's actually a pro tip. If you wanted to cook faster, split it in 2. It also fits in the pan easier when it's smaller, so pop it in. Now while that's cooking, we're gonna drain off the sweet corn. Boop. Fully drained, ready to go. I have to do the same for the tuna. Beautiful. Drain it off. Pro tip actually, make sure that's tuna in brine. If you have it with sunflower oil, it's just unnecessary calories and fat. Macros for half a tin, we're using the whole tin today. 0 fat, like 1 gram of carbs and 16 grams of protein. So you're talking 32 grams of protein in this whole tin. So if you struggle to hit your protein, tuna is definitely your friend. Now as far as the pasta sauce goes, you can see it's pretty much half full. So this is 500 grams. I'm just going to track it as 250 grams.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So I think the pasta is pretty much good to go. You can see it's pretty much ready. So we need to get a strainer, turn off the heat, get some oven gloves, bring the pasta over, drain it off, shake it up a little bit, shake a ball, bring it over to the bowl, transfer to the bowl, or now we go to bird's eye vision. Boo! So all we're gonna do is put every single ingredient shoved into the bowl and then mix it up. And now we just mix it all up into an absolute mess. And there you have it, the final product. Just out of interest, how much does this whole thing weigh? You should feel the weight of it. 2.6 kilos of food, obviously without the bowl, but still a lot of food. So that is meal numero uno. As always, macros will be up there in the right hand corner. So let's get a bit of a taste test and then talk a little bit more about intermittent fasting. Here we go, let's see how we go. Very good. Simple ingredients, but very good. So, intermittent fasting, is it really this magic diet?
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
A wizard.
That is going to be the key to fat loss, better body compositional changes compared to any other diet? No. And though the research on human studies is a little bit lacking, there is one huge systematic review of 40 papers by Seaman et al. 2015. I'll probably put it on the screen. But they pretty much concluded and showed that intermittent fasting is nothing special. This is because out of all of the studies examined in the review, results consistently showed both intermittent energy restriction and continuous energy restriction to produce apparently equivalent outcomes in terms of the amount of weight, waist or hip circumference, fat mass or fat-free mass loss, the improvements in parameters related to glucose homeostasis, suggesting that intermittent fasting really shows no added fat loss or body compositional benefits over diets with a higher meal frequency. Now, that being said, one huge advantage of intermittent fasting is that it might actually indirectly benefit fat loss, because in the same review, authors found that intermittent energy restriction was found to be superior at suppressing hunger, potentially as a result of intermittent fasting resulting in a state of intermittent ketosis during the fasting phases, which is widely known for its appetite suppression-like effects. So both diets work once you create a calorie deficit, but intermittent fasting might have a slight advantage over diets with a higher meal frequency because it might help in suppressing your appetite and the fact that you get to eat huge meals like these, so it might make creating that calorie deficit a little bit easier. But it definitely isn't magic, so I'm going to get digging into this, head upstairs, get into doing a bit of work, and then check in with you at the next meal. Molto buono. So, as you can see, it's currently about 9:15. We've just cooked up a bit of chicken. So the plan is to have 4 of these poverty little buns. So 2 buns with 2 eggs, and then 2 buns with a bit of chicken. Slice up some tomatoes and top it off with some of these snack-tastic multigrain bites. Macros for these aren't actually that bad. So per pack you have 4.4 grams of fat, 16.5 grams of carbs, and 1.8 grams of protein. So yeah. So we are going to need a pan to fry the eggs. Of course, with some fry light. 1, 2. Beautiful. So we're gonna let them cook up nice and slow. Get a plate. Like I said, we're gonna go for 4 of these buns. So get those ready. Another 2. Take off the tops. Get them ready for their destiny. Put that over there. Now we're gonna have to weigh out the chicken. Another Tupperware. So we're gonna go for 310 grams of the chicken breast. It's quite a lot actually. I might just combine everything together, but 300 grams, shred that up. Perfectly shredded, like myself.
You're funny.
Then we need to get some tomatoes, chop them up, put them on the base of the burgers. Perfect, so next we have to put all of this just on 2 of the burgers. Now, as expected, we had far too much, so it ended up being on all 4 of the burgers. So now, all that's missing is 2 eggs on 2 of these bad boys. Beautiful! And of course, a burger isn't a burger without some sriracha. So we're just gonna squirt some of that on top. And that is meal numero 2. Of course, with these on the side. So that is going to be dinner. Again, another hefty meal, but the macros, as always, will be up there in the right-hand corner, so we'll get a taste test and then further discuss intermittent fasting. We've spoken about fat loss, but what about fasting for muscle gain? So without further ado, let's get a bit of a taste test. Of course, the one with the egg. Oh, baby. That is good. Another one. Oh yeah, baby. One more bite to see you off. That's pretty much one down already. So let's discuss intermittent fasting for muscle gain. So when it comes to muscle gain, although total daily protein intake is probably what you need to focus on the most, spreading that protein out over the day also plays a role in hypertrophy. Because if you know anything about MPS, you have an opportunity to stimulate MPS through eating protein. So by me skipping breakfast and only starting to eat at like 3:30, I essentially missed out on like 2 to even 3 opportunities earlier on in the day to stimulate MPS and thus become anabolic. So in that respect, intermittent fasting is by no means optimal if you are seeking to maximize hypertrophy. So for example, Areta et al. 2013 split their participants into 3 protein groups. So group 1 had 4 servings of 20 grams of protein throughout the day spaced out at 3-hour intervals, versus the other groups having either 2 big 40-gram doses spaced out at 6-hour intervals or 8 smaller 15-gram doses pulsed every 1.5 hours. Results showed that the group consuming 20 grams of protein every 3 hours was superior to either the pulsed or the bolus feeding pattern for stimulating MPS throughout the day, meaning that this may be the best way forward for those seeking to maximize muscle gain. Sorry. So I've said it before, and I'll say it again, spreading your protein out more frequently throughout the day will likely be most optimal if you're seeking to maximize your gains in muscle mass. But optimal isn't always practical, especially for me. So if you do still choose to do intermittent fasting, then your best thing is to focus on achieving a total 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, or maybe even more if you're in a calorie deficit. And I personally think that if you can do that, then the gains that you're gonna miss out by not spreading that protein out more frequently are probably not that much, to be honest. But for those wanting to be optimal, spread your protein out more frequently. So head upstairs, get a bit more work done, and then come down and check in with you at the final meal. Boop. So again, we capped off the macros pretty late, but I stuck with the whole theme of this intermittent fasting and bigger meals, and we literally had like 130 grams of Cheerios, a whole tub of Breyers, and then an apple to finish it off. But I want to use this time now as an opportunity to touch on the final part of intermittent fasting, is that it is usually associated with all these sort of health benefits. So I'll put some pictures on the screen, but essentially, as you can see by the paper by Wan et al. 2003, periodic fasting resulted in improvements in cardiovascular risk factors and cardiovascular and neuroendocrine stress adaptation. Another pretty good paper by Goodrick et al. 1990 even showed that fasting might actually increase your lifespan. The main theory behind this is that during food deprivation, the body basically just becomes more efficient as it tries to keep you alive. Now, this is all well and good, but these studies are usually done in rats. So when it comes to humans, although there are still some good promising results, for example, you can see Varady et al. 2009 showed that in obese individuals, intermittent fasting resulted in a reduction in total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, triglycerol concentration, and blood pressure, with another study by Johnson et al. 2007 showing fasting to be beneficial for reducing markers of oxidative stress and inflammation in overweight individuals. But it seems as though intermittent fasting is only really effective for those extremely overweight and or obese, because when it comes to leaner individuals, as you can see in the paper by Soeters et al. 2009, intermittent fasting didn't actually affect whole body glucose, lipid, or protein metabolism in healthy lean men. Therefore, overall, I think the research is a little bit inconclusive and probably merits a little bit more future research, but the results are promising. And again, I am only doing intermittent fasting purely for adherence reasons. It allows me to adhere to my diet. I'm not doing it for any special health reasons, but if they're there, I mean, of course, I'm gonna take them. So, it is the next day, and we have just finished a grinder 8-hour shift, and that is another full day of eating in the books. We did pretty well in terms of the macros. We had 225 grams of protein, 610 grams of carbs, and bang on the fats at 65 on the dot. So yeah, so I am not going to make this video any more longer than it has to be. Hopefully it was already self-explanatory and that I provided some sort of value or entertainment to you. So if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. See you all in the next video. Hope you all have a great day.